Welcome to Behind the Tools. Here's Tradify CEO and your host, Michael Steckler.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Behind the Tools. Now, despite their talent for the trades, tradeswomen make up just under 5% of the global industry. Now, that's a figure that's barely changed over the last decade, and so there's still huge room for improvement when it comes to diversity and inclusion within the trades industry. And we want to be part of driving this change. So for this month, we'll be talking to a number of hardworking women from all over the world to find out the great work they're doing, but also to get more insight into their journey and ways they're working to push for a more inclusive industry. Enjoy the episode and happy Women in Trades Month. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Behind the Tools. Delighted this week to have Lisa Sheppard, who's based in Wales in the UK. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Maybe to start, Lisa, do you want to just tell everyone what you do, how long you've been in the trades?
Yeah, so I'm a gas engineer, heating engineer. I've been in the trade for, I think it's 5.5 years now. So yeah, I had a change in career later on in life, and yeah, 5.5 years on the tools, and here I am.
Yeah, fantastic. And I was going to ask you actually, because you had quite an unconventional kind of journey into the trades compared to some people. Do you maybe want to explain kind of how that happened and how you ended up being a gas engineer?
Yeah, so I was a dental nurse for quite a few years. I just got bored of my job basically and fancied a career change. So I noticed a position available in a local company for gas apprenticeship. So yeah, I went for it and got it. So I knew it was going to be a 4-year apprenticeship. I went for it, I was 25, knowing that then I would be 29 qualifying. But yeah, I went for it and here I am now today.
Fantastic. That's great. It's a great story. And, going from being a dental nurse to a gas engineer is quite a career change. What prompted you? What made you think about the trades as a thing for you to do?
Well, I've always been more of a practical worker, to be honest. I get bored quite easily, and I got bored in dentistry. So, yeah, just the fact that I knew it'd be a practical job, no job would be the same. And I was hoping that I'd never get bored in a job again, and I don't, to be honest. So it was definitely the right move.
Fantastic. And was there a particular preference for gas? Did you sort of, as a sort of career within the trades, you intentionally went after that?
Yeah, not really, to be honest. Just the fact that that was the apprenticeship that was available at the time. Yeah, so not necessarily, but yeah, no regrets whatsoever. I'm glad that I've done it.
That's great to hear. And the apprenticeship, talk me through the experience of sort of becoming an apprentice at a company and learning the ropes that way.
Yeah, so I had quite a straightforward apprenticeship, to be honest. Obviously, I knew when I was going for the job position what was involved in the apprenticeship. I knew that it was a 4-year course. So yeah, to be honest, all that's kind of taken out of your hands. So I got my job and they sorted all of the apprenticeship and the college work out for you. So to be honest, I didn't have to arrange anything. It was kind of, I knew that I would be on the job for 4 days out of the week, and I'd have a day release then to go to college once a week. So yeah, luckily I didn't have to arrange anything. So I'd kind of turn up for work or turn up to college. The first 2 years of the apprenticeship was for level 2 plumbing.
Yeah.
And then the second 2 years, then you get your level 3 and you do your gas as well. So yeah, by the end of the 4 years, you've got level 2, level 3 in your gas qualifications.
And did you know, I mean, one of the sort of things that often comes up is people, how they choose to get into the trades and at which point they choose to get in the trades. Did you have, what was your experience being at school, in terms of thinking about your career choices? And did you ever think about this as a career at that point?
To be honest, not really. I find career days in school quite useless, to be honest. I feel like unless you knew what you wanted to do when you were in school, you were kind of like disregarded. They would concentrate on those kids that did know what they wanted to go and do, and if they wanted to go on to uni. But for people like myself, I was quite unsure of what I wanted to do or what route I wanted to go down. I feel like they don't really make it aware, especially for girls, that trades are an option. So yeah, I didn't find it very useful at all, to be honest. But if I was given the option, I probably would have gone down that path, but they don't really mention it. So yeah, this is why I'm doing it later on in life. The opportunity came up, so I grabbed hold of it. But yeah, back in school, I I didn't really have the best experience, to be honest, when it comes to careers days and deciding what path to go down after your GCSEs. Luckily, at the time, I had a job in retail of doing my GCSEs. So when I left school, then after doing my GCSEs, I just decided to stay in retail and go full time. And then it was not long then after that that I got into dental nursing. But yeah, who knows? I could have gone into the trade at the age of 16, leaving school, if it was an option back then for me, but unfortunately it wasn't.
Yeah, and talk me through your experience of becoming an apprentice, in a gas company when you did. Obviously, we've talked a lot on this podcast about, the low percentage of women that were in the trades. Was that a thing that you experienced sort of going into that path? Was it unusual at the time?
Yeah, I think so. Especially leaving dental nursing, obviously, you're mainly around women. So there's a lot of us dental nurses, so I was just around girls all day. Obviously, we'd be working with quite a few male dentists, but primarily it was female orientated. So decide to go into a trade then, knowing that I'd go into like a male dominated industry. It didn't really faze me, to be honest, but you would hear a few comments of how do you feel about going into that. But yeah, that didn't really bother me. I knew that there probably wouldn't be any women or girls, especially going into college. So my college experience for the 4 years, I was the only female there, even in years above me and years below me. So there was no other female. So that whole 4 years I was in there, it was only me and my year. And the same with work as well. I've only been the only female, really. When I first started my apprenticeship, there was a female gas engineer at the company, actually. She left then after, I think it was like a year or two. So yeah, I've been around men pretty much for the duration, to be honest. So
and how's that? And how's your experience? It's a question we often we dig into, and get a mixed bag of answers, some positive, some negative. But how have you found that?
Personally, not too bad. I was quite daunted in the fact of going to college. I thought I'd be surrounded by like 16-year-old guys that would make comments, or I wouldn't really fit in with them. But to be honest, they took me on board quite well. I was surrounded by a couple of older guys in college as well as the younger guys. But I had no issues at all. And also in work, I've never really had any problems with the guys. Customers, sometimes you have some remarks, or merchants, sometimes you have some funny looks. But yeah, luckily, I've not done too bad, to be honest. Especially considering some girls' experience, you hear the comments they've had, or the journey they've been on through their apprenticeship. But yeah, luckily my experience hasn't been too bad in that respect.
Yeah, that's better to hear. And are you still at the same company?
I'm not, no. I'm at a different company to what I qualified. I did stay there for a bit and gain experience, but yeah, I've moved on now, which I do think helps you grow as an engineer. I felt like I got to that stage where I needed to leave, but also I was quite stressed as well. I find they were putting too much pressure on us engineers. So yeah, it wasn't healthy to be that stressed, especially being so newly qualified. I felt I needed a bit more guidance and help or support, really, than I actually had. So I knew it was time to change. So yeah, luckily I found another job and it's a bit more supportive. So it's going well.
And was that to do with the size of the company in terms of the sort of lack of support?
I think it was, to be honest, because it was a massive company. So yeah, I just don't think they've got the time. I think it's just get the jobs done, and kind of no matter what you've got to do, get it done. Whereas I'd rather be a bit more fair, take the time. And I always say quality over quantity, but unfortunately not every company is like that. So yeah, I didn't want to pick up any bad habits just when qualifying. So I'd rather stick my ground and quality over quantity, and time to move on.
Yeah. And going back a step, you kind of got into the trades. There's lots of people that listen to this that I think are sort of thinking about either getting in the trades or change a career, those types of things. Any advice you'd give to anyone that's sort of thinking about keen to make the switch? And you made it after having a career in another profession altogether. Anything you would say to those people that you think would be helpful that you wish you'd known?
Just go for it. 100% go for it. If you have any doubts, just put them to the back of your mind. Like I had a couple of doubts and thought it'd be quite daunting and stuff, like especially being a female going into male-orientated industry. But just go for it. Those doubts, they're very minimal compared to what you think they're going to be. I think you kind of big them up in your head than they're actually going to be.
Yes.
So yeah, just go for it. And if you're an apprentice, ask questions. Just throw yourself in there and get stuck in. But yeah, no regrets from me. So yeah, just go for it, really.
Fantastic. And, you know, one of the other things, do you think it's changed? I mean, you talked about your sort of school and sort of apprenticeship experience, you being the only woman in that. Do you think it's from the outside now, you're in the, you know, working in another business, have you seen any change at all? Do you think the numbers are going up or there's a shift?
Slowly, maybe. Personally, where I live, no, but just purely the fact on social media, you're seeing a few more girls coming through now and again. I think there is. I think we've still got a long way to go, but yeah, I think there is slight improvement. So hopefully we can continue this now and just keep pushing and making other girls and women aware that we are right here and we can do it, and there's no reason why they can't do it. So if it's a thought in anyone's head, whether you're a woman wanting changing career, like I was 25 when I changed my career, or whether you're 16, you're leaving school and you're thinking of going into a trade, then yeah, just go for it. And hopefully it'll become more normal, should we say. So
yeah. It certainly feels that way. And how do you sort of, you've touched on the social media piece, which comes up a lot here. How do you connect with other people kind of in the industry that are doing similar things to you?
Instagram's amazing, I think. It really is like a community. I know other people have probably said it as well, but there really is a community on there. I find it so supportive, and it's mad because I haven't met anyone on there, but you can talk to them and you feel like you've known them for ages. You can pick up so many tips and tricks off there. The amount of stuff I save or screenshot, and my phone's full of folders of photos and videos, but it's just handy to have. Like you can't pick up that many tips and tricks off the people that you work with. So yeah, so supportive. Even being a female in the trade, I find Instagram probably the best platform for the support out there, and especially from, well, girls and guys, to be honest. So yeah, 100%. If anyone's thinking about it, then just type it in on Instagram and just have a look at the couple of engineers on there, and the quality of work and the support, you'll just see it straight away. So that should encourage, I think, other women or guys to get into a trade.
And was that what motivated you to sort of get onto the social platforms, aside from your own personal use? I mean, for the trade was to get tips and tricks. So that seems to be, certainly I see it on YouTube and other platforms, that seems to be the driver of why people are looking, just to get a comparison.
I think it was, to be honest. It was actually a guy I started my apprenticeship with that worked in my company. He's the one that kind of begged me on to start the Instagram. And he was like, look, this female, it'll do really well. And I was like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, I done it, and I've never looked back, to be honest. I have got a personal Instagram as well, but to be honest, I'm on my gas one more than I'm on my personal. But I don't mind, because even though I've got my head in my phone, I find it educational. So I'm kind of like scrolling through each evening, but you're learning at the same time. You're not just in your phone on social media. So yeah, he's the one that pushed me to do it, but it is amazing. So yeah, I recommend it.
And have you built up, and then you sort of build up the community of women in the trades across the rest of the world and in the UK?
Yeah, so I think the blonde plumber was the first female that I followed. And then after that, you kind of find then a few other women in trades on there. But now, like, I've been on there a few years. I think when I started, I probably followed like a handful of female tradies, whereas now there's quite a lot of following on there. So this is how you can see it definitely is improving. The numbers are increasing, but there is a long way to go because the ratio of women compared to men is just crazy. So hopefully we'll get there. But yeah, it's more visible on Instagram than walking about and seeing other women in merchants, because I never see any other girls in merchants around where I live.
Right.
It'd be nice to see that change. I know I'm not in like a massive city, but hopefully one day we can get there.
Yeah, it feels like I mean, Instagram's a good example of that. That if anything that's going to speak to the younger generation about, being aspirational and the good parts of the job. What do you predominantly? I mean, I've sort of looked at your account and what you do, and you often talk about the work you're doing. But what is it that motivates you to be in the trades? What is it the thing that if you met someone or you met yourself 10 years ago, what would you say were the reasons that it's a great career?
I just find the variety of the job, to be honest. I think if you're a practical worker and you don't want to be bored, then it's perfect because you're not working in the same place all the time. You're not doing the same job all the time. You're out and about, you're meeting people. Probably just the variety, to be honest. Like personally, I couldn't sit behind a desk. I get too restless. But yeah, if you're practical, then there's nothing better. I love being on the tools. So quite bad.
And what's your favourite type of work?
The tools.
Oh, the tools are bad for the bank balance, did you say?
Yeah.
Are you one of these people who has to have the best new thing?
Yeah, I am. If something's in my head or I've seen something, especially on Instagram, if someone's posted a tool on there, I'm like, oh no, that's added to the list.
I was just about to say, actually, you should get off the Instagram. That's your problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That is the issue with that. I do find the same thing with new stuff comes through and you're just like, it's all too easy. And your favourite type of work that you do, if you did have a sort of preference of the type of job that you enjoy.
Probably would be boiler work, to be honest. I do quite like working on boilers. I do quite like boiler repairs. I'm not doing as many in this company as I was, but yeah, the job satisfaction once you fixed a boiler is brilliant. Although installing is quite good as well, because you do get job satisfaction with that as well when you see all like nice pipe work and I'd say boiler work.
And how do you sort of, I've discussed this probably a while back actually with the UK sort of regulations in the future changing around phasing out gas or gas boilers. Obviously, it's quite a way off, but do you keep an eye on that? Do that? I say it doesn't concern you, but do you train yourself on new stuff that might replace gas boilers?
To be honest, no, I don't really think about it. Obviously, it blew up in the news sometime last year and then everyone was talking about it. But again, that's the media for you. So to be honest, no, I don't consider it because I think we're way off that stage. Yeah, anyway. And it'll probably be a new build thing rather than converting old houses anyway. So I think there's always going to be a need for gas out there. But yeah, don't get me wrong, we can go down the renewable section and go into air source and heat pumps and all that lot. But yeah, not for a long, long time, I don't think.
For now, there's plenty of boilers still to service and repair, most likely.
Yeah,
cool, fantastic. And I was going to say, from the the work you've done, the work you're doing on Instagram, do you ever have any sort of young women that get in touch with you and ask about your experience, or do you see any of that sort of stuff happening across the platform?
I do, yeah. I've had quite a few girls, especially I'd say the last year or so, that drop into the DMs and message you, and I'll give them all the time that they want. Any questions, then come to me, because I feel like when I made that change, I didn't have that because I wasn't on the social media. I didn't know that this community was out there. So 100%, if they're out there and they're thinking about it, or they've just got into the trade and got any questions or want to know my experience, then I'm more than happy to tell them and share my experience with them, because every little helps. Yeah,
of course, it makes a huge difference. And have you seen any change in the schools? I mean, what I've seen, some companies I've seen around the world are starting to do school tours, again, to give kids that choice to say, hey, look, you might have one path, which might even be university in some instances, which they're just not geared up for because they're just, to your point, they don't want to work in that way. They don't want to sit behind a desk, whatever that work is that's involved. Do you see any of those sort of change there? Are you involved in anything around that type of stuff?
No, I don't think so, but it would be really good. I think it needs to be out there more, 100%. If any female tradies are willing to go to schools or wherever to talk about their experience, then hopefully girls in schools, it'll be made available for them easier than it was for us out there. Because like I said, I might have gone into the trades if I thought it was available to me back then, but it didn't seem the case. So if that can be changed, then 100%, I think we would see numbers increase of girls getting into the trades, and maybe even guys getting into the trades. I don't know whether it was the same for them when we were in school, if it was made more available to them and just not us girls. I'm not sure, but 100%.
I think it's a challenge for both. I agree with you. I think you make a good point, which is I think one of the biggest issues in the trades right now is trying to find great people. And of course, the reason there's not so many great people is there's less coming through the sort of school system, picking the trades. And I think that the part of the challenge is the schools still seem to position it as, you know, a thing that you do if, you know, you're not academic or all these other things. And, you know, sometimes people are, you know, academic, you know, in some respects, but don't want to be, as you said, sat behind a desk, or they want to do something with their hands or do other stuff. And so I think it's changing, but it seems to be changing quite slowly still.
I agree. Yeah, personally, I feel like unless you wanted to go to uni, school didn't really want to know. I think, I don't know whether it's about numbers or whether it makes the school look good. It's kind of will push you down that path, but a lot of people don't want to go down that path. So what are the other options for those kids?
Yes.
Yeah, and like you said, like the academic, and if it needs to be made more available, 100%, because no matter who you are, boy, girl, whether you're smart or not as smart, or whether you find it struggle to concentrate on the theory, you're more practical, then it should be made more available.
Yeah, I think it's also, I mean, I sort of, you know, talk about schools, but I also think it's probably parents that do play a big role in sort of, making those decisions and pushing kids in a certain direction, which may not be the right choice to them. Cool, definitely. Great. So this has been a really great conversation. I think it's amazing what you've done, that you've made that switch, and you know, you plan in the future. Do you have any plans in terms of building your own business, or just keep doing what you're doing for now?
I probably just keep doing what I'm doing for now.
It's probably not a fair question if your employers listen to this podcast. They don't want to hear you say, "Yeah, I want to start my own business."
I don't know. The thought scares me, to be honest. But never say never. Who knows what the future will hold? But yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing for now. Gain more experience, grow as an engineer, and see what happens in the future.
And just before I ask you the sort of last few questions that we always finish on, if people want to sort of get hold of you, find you on Instagram, if you're happy, where can they find you?
So my gas Instagram is gas_girl_. So that's on my Instagram. So you'll find me there. Cool. But yeah, my name's Lisa, and also known as the Gas Girl.
Gas Girl, great, easy to find. Cool. Now, if you hadn't have, you came from dentistry into gas engineering. If you hadn't picked gas engineering, which trade would you pick, do you think?
Chippy, carpentry, I think.
Yeah. Comes up a lot, and the reason?
Less responsibility. I don't know. There's just something about doing.
Are you referencing the dangers associated with natural gas? Yeah.
I don't know.
You could build a wooden house. There's people who have wooden houses and it could collapse. So but yes, I see your yes. I understand. Cool. And if you had an unlimited budget, what vehicle would you drive? I mean, you're always looking at gear, as you mentioned earlier. I don't know if that's
probably have to be a new Transit Custom. They're really nice. So yeah, it'd probably be one of them, a really nice one.
And then if you sort of won £1,000 on a scratch card down at the newsagent, what tool would you buy? And I'm sure you must have a point of view on this after our discussion earlier.
There's too many on the list. I don't know. Specific at the moment. I don't know. My kit's building.
They might be listening, and they might actually offer you one for free to. Do you ever get approached by brands on your Instagram?
Milwaukee, I love. I'm a Milwaukee girl. Team red and black. I could do with a circular saw, actually. So that's probably next on the list.
Circular saw. Okay, right, we'll make a note of that. And then I kind of asked you this earlier, but I'm going to ask it again because I think it's a really, I didn't ask it quite in this way, but any advice you'd give apprentices starting out?
Just get stuck in, ask questions. If you do work with different engineers, then just try and pick up as many tips and tricks from each engineer, because everyone does things differently. You'll never get an engineer that works exactly the same. So just pick up different tips from them and find what works for you and go down your own route. But ask questions, 100%. There's no such thing as a silly question, as they say. So
cool. Yeah, of course. And if you're going to treat yourself on site to a good lunch, what would it be?
Lunch. Do you know what? I quite like cereal. I take cereal quite a lot.
Cereal? You're not the first, actually. I think you're the second. Someone else sort of had cereal at lunchtime.
Really? Oh, I love
I think
cereal.
so, yeah.
Any
It does
time
sound
of the
familiar.
day. Any time of the day I
Uh,
could eat cereal. So I'd have it for
What's your
breakfast.
favourite cereal? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's not a balanced diet, but what would be what's your favourite cereal?
Oh, I don't know. There's too many to choose from. I do mix cereals as well. So sometimes I'll have like Weetabix with Cocoa Pops on top.
Yeah. No, I do the same. Not the Cocoa Pops, but yeah.
Apart from the ones with fruit in, I don't really eat the fruity ones, but anything apart from that.
Anything else? Cool. Okay, fantastic. And then, last question we always ask is, anyone else, you're on Instagram connecting with lots of different people, and even in your line of work in Wales, anyone else you think we should talk to that would make a really interesting conversation?
I'll give you a guy and a girl. Guy, I'd go for John from Cruickshank Plumbing and Heating. He's a top bloke, really good engineer. He classes himself as an average plumber, but he's far from an average plumber. He's a really good guy, humble guy. I think he'd be a good one to talk to. And if I picked a girl, I'd probably go Saf she's a gas engineer. Again, really good engineer. So proving that girls can do it and equality of work is top notch. So yeah, if any girls decide to get into the trade, if they follow girls like that on Instagram, then it's a no-brainer. Hopefully they'll jump into the trade and think I can do that as well. Yeah, no,
it's a really, your story, I think it's incredibly brave. I think people underestimate how brave it is to leave a career, especially if you've done a career for a few years. It's easier actually sometimes to stick with it. To have that realization and go out there and start again with education and all those things is pretty amazing. So
don't you? So I was comfortable. I wanted to leave for a few years, but you just get comfortable, and I was working with good girls, so they become friends, and that's the thing, you do get comfortable. But I knew for myself I needed change, and I just had to go and get it.
Yeah, no, fantastic. It's a great story, and look, hopefully, career sounds like it's going really, really well. I hope it continues, and really appreciate you spending the time and sharing your journey.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, you're welcome. And everyone else, thanks for listening. And as always, comments, feedback, hopefully positive reviews, please leave them on your chosen platform. Until next time, we'll see you then. Thanks, Lisa. See you.
Thank you. Bye.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Behind the Tools is brought to you by Tradify, job management software for your trade business. If you enjoyed the podcast, let us know by leaving a review, and be sure to tell your mates about it. Email behindthetools@tradifyhq.com if you or someone you know would be keen to join the show as a guest.